As the year is about to end, I have selected 10 Seiko watches that caught my attention, and it doesn't necessarily mean that I like them, but I think they represent on what path Seiko is leaning on with their future watches. Whether it be innovation or rendition, we will discuss it all here. This is quite a long list, so bear with me here. Let's get straight to it. First on this list is the King Seiko SJE091 and the SPB387. There are a ton of King Seiko watches that were released this year, from 6L to 6R movements. Keep in mind that whenever they use the term SJE, it most probably has a 6L movement, and with an SPB, a 6R movement. So the SPB387 in this example, I'll also be showing here some of the models, but for simplicity, I'll just be choosing one watch as an example. This one has a 6R55 movement, which was introduced earlier this year. It is an upgraded 6R35 movement, and it is not a high beat movement. It still has the same frequency. The daily rate is the same. The power reserve is slightly better at 72 hours as compared to the 70 hours of the 6R35. There might be some mechanical differences within the movement itself, but on paper, it looks like a minor upgrade. This is a dress watch with commendable size. Might it be better than a Grand Seiko? Maybe the SJE091 can compete at that level. But so far, I'm glad they reintroduced the King Seiko line, as they are quite iconic before. Again, these are not affordable, but they are beautiful dress watches, especially the limited edition white one with the chrysanthemum dial pattern. That is cool. At number 9, we have the Seiko Marine Master SJE101 SGE099. This is a watch that I am concerned with if you have seen my impressions of it. Nevertheless, it is a dive watch release, and the only thing that I can do in order to be non-discriminatory about this watch is to ignore the Marine Master and view it as a dive watch. I think it is promising, even though the majority of the dial design heavily resembles that of a Marine Master. But the finishing and the texture on the dial gives it a different kind of vibe. The dial has a symmetrical look thanks to the inconspicuous date window. The see-through caseback is reminiscent of the Omega Seamaster watches, and it has decent proportions for a dive watch. 39.5mm case size in a Seiko dive watch is actually rare to see, or rather sub 40, excluding quartz or solar dive watches. The black dial one is the one that resonates with me the most. I would have to check that one out for sure. Overall, this is a new diver this year, and I'm actually looking forward to seeing this on hand. Be sure to subscribe to see that one. Number 8, we have the Seiko SRPK17, a tribute to the 1968 Seiko 5. This rendition is limited to 15,555 pieces and is a brilliantly done watch, with the benefit of it also being affordable. Just a classic design and a dependable 4R36 movement. This is a watch that many Seiko enthusiasts would likely have in their collection. At $415, it is a solid watch. I'm not a fan of the bracelet. I would absolutely swap this out for a strap or racing strap. It has a hardlex crystal and bi-directional bezel, but I like this release from Seiko. At number 7, we have the Seiko 5 Sports 38mm, the unofficial successor to the well-known SKX013, the smaller version of the SKX007. There are several color variations of this watch. Here, for example, is the SRPK29, the black dial one. This release from Seiko, caused by the trend on smaller case sizes, was needed by the company to appease some enthusiasts. A cheap dive watch design, but not really a dive watch. This is an excellent entry-level watch to have. The color choices are great, and the size is the same on the SKX013, with a minor difference in thickness, but prominent as other owners would say. Affordable too, at only $325. A good entry-level watch from Seiko. Next, we have the SLA 071 Seiko Landmaster, a sub-brand that doesn't have the same depth and history as their dive watches. Nevertheless, it is still relevant and appealing. This model is the 30th anniversary celebration of the Landmaster line. This is a high-end timepiece, very utilitarian, and made out of titanium. According to Seiko's website, it only weighs at 137 grams. It has an 8L35 movement, and it is limited to 1,000 pieces. I have to say, I really like the look of this watch. I think the chunky bezel and small dial would make the watch wear smaller than its 42 2.5mm case size. $2,600 is the asking price on this watch. The Seiko Navigator SPB411, which I recently reviewed, is limited to 4,000 pieces, and this is a faithful reissue of the 6117 8000. At $1,500, it is a breath of fresh air on the Seiko lineup, not having the Prospex logo and just a clean dial. I'm liking it. The bracelet design looks similar to the Slim Turtle. The gray or anthracite dial is clean. Be sure to check that out if you want to see my full review of that watch. At number 4, we have the SJE 093 Seiko 62 Mass, the most faithful reinterpretation of the original 6217 8000 small crown or the 6217 8001, the big crown. So far, there is nothing to say about it. The fact that it looks magnificent because it is basically a brand new 6217 8000 with a better movement, crystal, build quality. It is limited to 1,965 pieces and cost $3,500. At number 3, this is the watch that I hoped to be the future of Seiko dive watches, the SLA 075 and SLA 073. Let me just say that this case design is my favorite of all the Seiko dive watches. It is not too big or too small, just right, and it has an aggressive looking bezel. The dial designs are to be left to the eye of the beholder, but to me, I really can't say I like it. But the case is similar to the SLA 055 except the ever brilliant steel. It uses the 8L35 movement, and the SLA 075 has a better color combination in my opinion. It cost at $2,900 for the SLA 073 and $2,800 for the SLA 075. So far, this is one of my favorite. The only GMT watch that I would buy, a GMT dive watch, the SPB 383. Man, I love this release from Seiko. Not initially because I was naive to GMT watches. I did praise the design as it is a perfect all-around dive watch. I know I'm sounding like a broken record, but I wish they did this to the SPB 185. That bezel, I believe, is ceramic. Just look at that shine. $1,500 on this watch and you already have a dive watch and a GMT watch. This was a great release from Seiko. A more in-depth review on this is on another video. I'll put a link in the description. Finally, at number 1, it is not a dive watch. Shocking, right? I'm obsessed with dive watches, and this is a watch type that I always hate, but an exception to this one. The SRQ 047 and SRQ 049. Yes, 2 Seiko chronographs, and I am digging it. The SRQ 047, the Panda version, is not limited, and the SRQ 049 is limited to 1,000 pieces. $2,500 is the cost for the Panda one. It's quite big and thick at 42mm and a 14.6 thickness. I previously said that I dislike vintage Seiko chronographs as their reliability can be questionable at times. This is a different case, however, since it is a brand new one, obviously, and has a modern movement. The 8R48 movement is the same as the SRQ029, the Seiko Panda that they released, but didn't really push through with the silver subdial right there. Overall, I really like this watch, and the SRQ047 is my choice between the two because it's just iconic. You can't go wrong with the Panda dial, and Panda dials are for some reason more expensive, more sought after by collectors. So there you have it. These are my top 10 Seiko watches that were released this 2023, and looking at it, there are a lot of controversial ones and a lot of hits too. Overall, I am looking forward to next year's watches and what Seiko has in store for us. Let me know one of your favorite watch releases from Seiko this year. Till next time, stay safe.